Sometimes when you're just about ready to move on board, there's a stage I call the throw-up stage. But really, it's all about the in-betweens. Hi, I'm Nika Waters, and welcome to the Boat Galley Podcast. I'm talking about what I think is the most stressful time of moving aboard a boat. One of the things we love to do at the Boat Galley is help make boat life better. If you haven't checked out our site to look at all the different courses and how-to articles and lots of different resources there are, please check it all out. Because whether you are a seasoned live-aboard person or somebody just investigating the whole lifestyle, there's something for you on the site. A friend of mine made a massive life shift from decision to done and dusted execution in less than a month. Selling a home, choosing a brand new community, hours away from the one where she's lived for 15 years, finding an apartment and moving, all done in less than a month. When I say massive life shift, that's barely touching the surface of what she went through. To add to it, half of that month that she did this whole thing, she was out of town for an already made commitment, which made for an incredibly stressful, fast-paced couple of weeks. Talk about decision overload. Oh! But the other side to that. I should make it clear that this podcast is being shared a couple of weeks, maybe a month after I originally wrote this blog post. And I'm actually recording it as we're sitting at anchor in Cape Canaveral, Florida, waiting to go across to the Bahamas in the next week or so. But before we moved onto the boat, we had been in the middle of shifting for what seems honestly like years. Yes, it's an exaggeration. But what's not an exaggeration is that we had really been in the middle of shifting since we got back from the Caribbean in May on Calypso. We were getting Mischief ready to sail south. Calypso had been a crash pad while Mischief was a construction zone. Calypso totally is torn apart as her sister. We really couldn't put tools away neatly because we needed to haul them out again the next day. There were boxes of sealants and paints on the floor for a couple of months, keeping them at least cooler because we had air conditioning running on Calypso and Mischief did not. Getting to the lockers where our clothes are stored up on Calypso was an adventure in stretching, stepping, and often slipping. I would often hit the point where I couldn't stand the mess on the chart table, and the chart table is the only horizontal surface really that we have in the boat. So I would ruthlessly shove it all outboard or onto the quarter berth, which was itself a whole mass of random stuff that we pulled out for some project or another. And then the clearing that helped me feel temporarily like we're making progress meant that Jeremy couldn't put his fingers on exactly whatever it was that he needed that he had put on the chart table because I moved it. And then there was time suck happening because we both were trying to find this elusive whatever it was. And that was not helpful for helping Jeremy feel like he's making progress. When we first made a concerted effort to move aboard Mischief, I had already been loading provisions on. So there was that taken care of. But we had to install the table, which has been moved from side to side on the settee as we've been cleaning and stowing and that sort of thing. But we needed to finally install it. And to move the last of the cushions aboard, we needed to make sure we had some cookware brought over from Calypso, make sure that we had the coffee stuff set up. After a full day of down the ladder, up the ladder, down the ladder, up the ladder, hauling bags of stuff from one boat to the other, we realized that there was no time to move the fridge over from the one boat to the other before the rain hit. So I moved all that coffee stuff right back to Calypso, and we tucked ourselves back onto Calypso for another night. And the very first night that we did sleep aboard Mischief, I had left all the vegetables on Calypso. So instead of some real fancy celebration dinner, I said nope. It got scrapped in favor of quick and easy, which was spaghetti with jarred sauce because it was dumping rain outside and nobody needed to go out there just to go get an onion. Jeremy had to help me drain the pasta because I had left the pot holders on the other boat. And I needed somebody to hold it with a towel while I was holding the strainer. And now, obviously, we're largely moved on to Mischief, but we recently rented a car to drive north to Connecticut for Thanksgiving, and we had to stop by Calypso on the way. Mischief was all the way in Beaufort, North Carolina, and we had to stop by Calypso, which is on the hard for the winter, and we needed a couple things that we had forgotten to take off the first time. In the middle of all this moving between boats, outside, it was the throw-up stage. That's what I called it. And when I mentioned this term to a couple of friends, both of them who are also scrambling to get projects finished up to head south, one of them nodded and she said, "Do you mean that you're so stressed out it feels like you want to puke all the time?" That's definitely not what I meant, but it is a possible interpretation. No, to me, the throw-up stage is where you've basically emptied out all the things, ready for sorting into the ever-popular piles of keep, giveaway, and dumpster. We have stuff from Calypso, stuff from Mischief, stuff from the van, stuff from the storage shed. It gets laid out on tarps in semi-organized bundles. We keep reinventing how those bundles are sorted, and every night to guard against the dew or the rain, we scramble to get everything under wraps. Mostly, it gets grabbed and stuffed into the van, since that is without question waterproof. And also, key doesn't involve any ladders. It's really hard to be in between. Whether you're in between moving from one place to the next, in between decisions, it's super overwhelming. And it feels more overwhelming when it's been going on for a long time. But when my friend first talked about what she was going to do and the timeline in which she was going to pull it off, I worried about how she was going to pull it off so fast. But as we were going through the in-betweens before we actually launched Mischief to take her south, I think my friend was brilliant. Because the in-between time was blissfully short. It was intense and stressful, but blissfully short. No hand-wringing. No time dithering over decisions. Just make a call and move on because you don't have time to spend time worrying about it. I think for me, the in-betweens might be the most stressful part of getting ready to go cruising. Whew. But then you're out there. And I can't wait to share an anchorage with you when neither one of us is in between, or maybe we are, and we can help each other through it. Because another friend of mine pointed out that every time you make a change, there's an in-between stage in there too. I just don't want to spend all my time in between. Thank you so much for listening to the Boat Galley podcast. We're all about making boat life better. And I certainly hope we've done that for you today. Have the most spectacular week.